Welcome to our first class. Today we will discuss the origins, the main drivers, and the institutionalization of the environment as a public policy object. It's pretty evident today that environmental challenges occupy always the headlines of the media, prioritary topics in the agenda of the governments, in the global governance system, and also in the private sector organizations and among the society. But this is a rather new situation. 50 years ago, neither the environment was an important subject, not at all, but also the state didn't have the power to interfere and establish rules, policies, budgets, guidelines and programs on the environmental quality. So, what happened in these last 50 years that changed so much? We would like to highlight 4 processes that we think that are responsible for those changes. They are, first, the exhaustion of environmental assets due to overuse and conflicts. Second, the occurrence of ecological disasters and the reflections of different branches of sciences on the characteristics of the times in which we live, highlighting the term the risk society. The third process is the recognition of the existence of environmental problems that involve all countries and all the planet Earth, and the construction of a global environmental governance system. And the fourth process is the construction of a new generation of rights. So let's move to the first topic, the exhaustion of environmental assets due to overuse and conflicts. The humanity discovered that environmental assets were not infinite, or they couldn't be permanently available. When this concern arises, the Club of Rome, a group of notables founded in 1968, hired the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, the MIT, to prepare a report. So an international team of researchers were set up and began a study of the implications of unbridled exponential growth. And they selected 5 factors to examine because they were responsible for determine and in their interactions limit growth on this planet. These 5 factors examined were population, agricultural production, non-renewable resource depletion, and industrial output and pollution. In 1972, the club's first major report, it was called The Limits to Growth, was finally published. Using mathematical models, the report concluded that the planet Earth could no longer support population growth due to pressure on natural and energy resources and increased pollution, even considering the then available technological advances. It was really a major event. The report sold millions of copies worldwide. It created media controversy and also impetus for a global sustainability movement. This call for objective scientific assessment of the impact of humanity's behavior and use of resources still defines the Club of Rome today. But among the many messages of this report, The Limits of Growth, it fundamentally confronted the unchallenged paradigm of the continuous material growth and the pursuit of endless economic expansion. The scenario foreseen by the MIT work was only partially confirmed afterwards, but the issues tackled by the researchers inaugurated an important research agenda developed from then on and still very important. Daniel Fiorino comments that nowadays, quote, resource and ecological limits exist and are informed by scientific assessments. They are not bright lines. They are more shaded lines reflecting risks of critical or irreversible harm. Limits in sources matter, but the most serious challenges will be in sinks and services. Resources and ecological limits should be seen as playing out locally, nationally, and globally, and in their interactions among governance, economic, and ecological systems. Evidence on limits involves scientific uncertainty, although the direction of change and impacts is often reasonably clear, as climate change and ecosystem degradation illustrate. Resource and ecological limits inevitably will require a policy response, whether that is ending or reversing growth, rethinking and redefining it, changing its composition, or some combination of these is a matter of governance and policy design. In other words, to address these problems, the state action is indispensable. Regarding conflicts, the most important was what happened in 1973. There was a period of skyrocketing energy prices and fuel shortages, resulting from the embargo by Arab oil-producing nations. In October 1973, the members of the Organization of Arab Petroleum Exporting Countries, led by King Faisal of Saudi Arabia, proclaimed an oil embargo targeted at nations that supported Israel during the Yom Kippur War. Canada, Japan, Netherlands, United Kingdom, United States, and a bit later the embargo extended to Portugal and South Africa. 1 year after, when the embargo ended, the price of the oil had risen near 300%, from $3 per barrel to nearly $12 per barrel globally. The embargo caused an oil crisis or shock with many short and long-term effects on global politics and the global economy. From then on, the quest for alternatives to the energy demands became a very important topic of research and policy discussions.